Hello everyone, Infinite Movie Recaps here. Today I'm going to show you a sci-fi and action movie titled Deja. There will be spoilers ahead. Now sit back, relax and enjoy. A group of Navy servicemen and some tourists are seen boarding a ferry. When everyone is on board, the ferry leaves the dock and they're all having a good time. In the car deck, a staff member hears a phone ringing and goes to check it out. The sound is coming from a vehicle without a license plate. He sees some strange devices in the car, but before he can do anything about it, the car explodes, killing more than 500 people. In the aftermath of the explosion, the ATF sent an agent named Dr. Carlin to the scene to investigate the explosion. He analyzes the scene and finds a fragment of an electric blasting cap, which he bags. An FBI agent named Paul introduces himself to Doug and asks about his partner named Larry. Doug tells him he's on vacation, but he hasn't been able to reach him all day. They both find ammonium nitrate in the blast area, which makes Doug conclude that the explosion was a premeditated terror attack. Doug goes back to his office. He's told that a lady called his office trying to get information about him, like his height and his skin color. He calls her back and leaves a message when no one answers. Doug gets a call from the sheriff, informing him about a woman who was found dead with burns on her body floating in the water. Doug initially thought she was a victim of the bombing, but the time her body was discovered was before the bombing. He goes to inspect the body and finds that her fingers were cut off and the mouth was taped. He concludes that she was murdered and finds out that her name was Claire. Doug goes to her house and looks around. He sees a message that says, "You can save her," on the fridge. Doug also finds blood-soaked clothes all over the apartment. He listens to her messages and is surprised to hear his voice leaving her a message, which means Claire is the same lady that called his office earlier. Doug meets with Agent Paul and his boss, Jack McCready. He tells the agents that judging from his investigation, Claire was likely killed at least 2 hours before the explosion. She was burned by her attacker and disguised to look like the other victims of the explosion. Her car was probably used by her murderer to transport the bomb to the ferry. He tells them that since Claire had direct contact with the bomber, by solving her case, they would also solve the bombing case. As he is leaving, he sees his partner's car in the victim's area and is unfortunately told that his partner was also killed in the explosion. Impressed by Doug's skills, Paul offers him a spot on the newly formed investigative unit. The investigative team is located in a military base. They utilize a very powerful monitoring system called Snow White. The system is limited to viewing events from precisely 4 days and 6 hours in the past at any coordinates within the target area. They need to be able to look at a scene once and know exactly what or who to pursue because they can only view it once. That's why they need people like Doug, who can get key insights from just scanning a crime scene. Doug suggests they start by monitoring Claire's movements. They find Claire at home and Doug seems enthralled by her. He gets a call from the forensic unit and is told that his fingerprints were all over Claire's house. Doug finds this strange because he used the glove and was sure he didn't leave his prints at her house. The team continues to track Claire, and when she is out, she gets a call from someone interested in buying her car, who Doug suspects is a murderer. She unfortunately gives him her address. The team tracked the suspect to a phone booth, but the place was poorly illuminated and they couldn't see his face. Instead, they track his backpack and eventually are able to pinpoint the location he was at in the past. At this point, Doug had started to suspect that the team were not being truthful. He suspected that Snow White was more than just a simple monitoring device, and what they were looking at was not just a surveillance image. To prove his theory, he takes a laser pointer and directs it at the screen. Immediately, Claire sees the light and responds to it, which means that their current actions could directly affect events 4 days in the past. At Doug's insistence, Dr. Alex finally tells him that the Snow White machine is actually able to fold space and create a wormhole through time to observe what happened 4 days ago. Doug suggests that if light is able to go back in time, then other things could also be sent back. He asks Alex to send his past self a note detailing the suspect's threat level and location. The note was sent successfully, but unfortunately, it was taken by his partner, Larry. Larry tracked down the suspect based on the information on the note, but was shot by the suspect. The suspect dragged Larry into his car and fled the scene. The suspect was rapidly driving east away from Snow White's range. The only way to track him outside the target area was by using the goggle rig. Doug volunteered to put the rig on and track him. Wearing the rig, he was able to see 4 days into the past. He had to go against the traffic in order not to lose the suspect and cause many traffic accidents and nearly crashing his car. Fortunately for him, he was able to trace the suspect to his base of operation. Doug and the team watched the suspect drag Larry out of the van and shoot him dead before burning his body, unable to do anything. By sending the note, instead of stopping the ferry bombing like they intended, they only changed the way Larry died. Larry also damaged the windshield of the suspect's car during the altercation, so the suspect needed a new car to transport the bomb, which caused him to target Claire. Ultimately, sending the note didn't change anything. Immediately afterwards, the team were able to ID the suspect, whose name was Carroll Oerstadt. He tried to flee but was eventually arrested. Doug interrogated Oerstadt. He tells Doug that he's driven by destiny and wants to be remembered. Seeing as they had captured Oerstadt, Jack tells Doug that they are shutting down the investigation and moving on. Doug tells him he won't accept it. He says that Claire will be killed 12 hours from now in the past, and that they must at least try to save her, but he is ignored. Feeling down, Doug goes to Claire's house. He again sees the message on the fridge and makes up his mind to travel back in time and attempt to save both the bombing victims and Claire. Alex tells him that it will be dangerous because the electromagnetic field from the machine will disrupt his body's electrical impulses and will most likely kill him. Doug was determined though, and after the machine is activated, it scans him rapidly and sends him 4 days in the past. Doug arrives in the hospital and starts having a seizure. The hospital staffs are bewildered but are able to save him. When he wakes up, he steals a gun and an ambulance and races to Oerstadt's hideout. He gets there at the nick of time. Oerstadt had already poured diesel on Claire and was about to kill her when Doug crashes the ambulance into the house. Oerstadt shoots Doug in the shoulder and slips out of the house. He then shoots at some cylinders and blows up the house. He thought Claire and Doug were both dead, but didn't know that Doug had dragged Claire out of the house before it exploded. Doug calms Claire down. Since Claire's house is on the way to the dock, Doug drives them to her house to get cleaned up and drop her off. When they get to the house, Doug arranges the message on the fridge and cleans himself off. Because Doug knew way too much about her, Claire gets suspicious and pulls a gun on him. To prove his identity, Doug asks Claire to call his office, and when she does, she asks about his height and skin color, and she's satisfied with the answers. When she is cleaning up his wounds, he realizes that he hasn't changed anything. The message on the fridge, the bloody gauze, and Claire calling his office, everything was developing according to the original script. Doug then hurriedly takes Claire to the dock. Doug tells Claire that Oerstadt must not know he has been compromised. If not, he will detonate the bomb ahead of schedule. He planned to follow Oerstadt quietly, find the bomb and defuse it before it is triggered. Doug boards the ferry. However, as Oerstadt is leaving, he sees the car he left at his hideout and realizes that Doug is alive and on the ferry trying to defuse the bomb. He runs back to the ferry. Seeing Oerstadt get back on the ferry, Claire also gets on the ferry to warn Doug, but she is found by Oerstadt. He ties her up in a car with a bomb. A staff sees Oerstadt and tries to talk to him, but he just shoots and kills him. After that, Oerstadt goes crazy and starts shooting everyone he comes across. Doug sneaks up to the car. He was running out of bullets, so he tells Oerstadt things he learned from him during the interrogation in the future. This confuses Oerstadt and gives Claire enough time to ram him with the car, and Doug finally shoots and kills him. There wasn't enough time to defuse the bomb, so Doug tells Claire to drive the truck into the river. He was able to free Claire, but he gets trapped in the car. The bomb explodes and kills Doug. Claire is distraught because even though they saved everyone, Doug still lost his life. She is told to wait for someone to take her statement when she sees Doug walking towards her. Doug didn't seem to know her or have any memory of his future self, and Claire is just dumbfounded. It turns out that when Doug from the future traveled back in time, he existed in the same timeline as his past self, and when future Doug died, it resulted in his past self being the only one remaining in the current timeline. Doug smiles at her and drives away. Let me know what you think about this movie in the comments below, and if you like my video, please hit the like button and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.